Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, everyone, everywhere, depending on where and when you are watching. It is a warm, summer, sunshiny day outside my door. What's it looking like outside your door? Wow, abortion. It is all the talk today. As the United States Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade after almost 50 years. But is abortion a really big sin, or is all sin sin? Is abortion any bigger than stealing? Let's talk about what abortion is and what it is not today. Roe versus Wade was a landmark decision by the United States Supreme Court in which the courts ruled that the Constitution of the United States conferred the right to have an abortion. Just a few weeks ago, that decision has been overturned. There are protests breaking out all across the country. Some are saying my body, my rights. Some are saying it is my body. Now we're giving the government the choice or the permission to have decisions over our reproductive rights. We're going to talk about that because that's what everybody's talking about. I am your co-host, Ambassador Lisa Parks, and welcome to Africaonline TV. If you're tuning in on Facebook, and you want to join the conversation, come on over here to Zoom. The ID number is 514-199-854. That's 514-199-854. And now the editorial with my co-host, Niasam. Welcome, my brother.
Welcome to you too, and greetings to our entire audience. It is always a pleasure to be here with you. Yes, we are tackling a controversial topic, controversial to those who are either for or against, depending on what side of the fence you are on. All the same, we have to discuss some of these issues. July 31st is the 212th day of the year 2022 on the Gregorian calendar. That means that we have just 153 days left until the end of the year. The year seems to be on wheels already. Once we pass June, it becomes rather fast going. As Ambassador Lisa just said, our topic this Sunday is abortion, A-B-O-R-T-I-O-N. Well, that free encyclopedia Wikipedia tells us that there is no fixed definition. There are several definitions, but Wikipedia says that the word varies from place to place. It varies from source to source, and people from different parts of the world say it as they see it, or as they feel it, or as they live it. And so we understand that abortion has many definitions that can differ from each other in significant ways, in significant places. Given the contentious nature of abortion, lawmakers and other stakeholders often face controversy as to defining what abortion really is. From the Catholic Church to the United Nations, and agreeing with various dictionaries, the word abortion is a noun, meaning, according to what we could figure out from dictionaries and other sources, quote, the deliberate termination of a human pregnancy, most often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy, end of quote. Whether that is true or not, medics, that is medical practitioners, see it differently, politicians view it differently, and the man on the street views it differently. So more often than not, the argument for or against abortion hovers around the question, when does human life begin? Is it at the meeting point of an egg and a sperm? Is it when the fetus has developed and can survive in the womb on its own? Or if taken out at that point, can it survive? We have often discussed abortion on Africaonline Media Corporation, but we have never and will not now take a stand on what it is or it is not. From our past discussions, this editorial has often stated that making a decision about abortion should be guided by conscience, C-O-N-S-C-I-E-N-C, conscience. It should be up to each individual. It should be up to each family to decide whether going for an abortion is ethical or justified, or both. Is it ethical? Is it justified? However, is there ever a reason to justify abortion? Or is there ever anything to make an abortion ethical? We will rest our case at that point and go over, not yet, not quite yet. Yes, we'll go over to Houston, Texas, to the chair of Africaonline Media Corporation, so that she lets us start this conversation however we look at it. Reverend Pam, the ball is yours.
Thank you so much, Nia Song, Ambassador Lisa, Sister Ruth, Dr. Ugorji. I'm excited about this show today. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show my face. And we have somebody called ThinkPad. If you can type your name in the chat box, we will rename you. You are highly welcome. You know, on behalf of Africaonline Media Corporation, I want to welcome all our viewers and our panelists. And I'm so excited because our Chief Medical Advisor is going to handle this topic. Dr. Ugorji, you're on this show almost every week. You've been doing that for 100 years. But for somebody tuning in for the first time, could you kindly just take a moment and introduce yourself to our new viewers so they know who you are? Oh, ThinkPad is actually Sally Fu from Sierra Leone. So that's awesome. That's our volunteer in Sierra Leone. So Dr. Ugorji, over to you.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We sure can.
Well, abortion is a very, very broad topic, you know. First and foremost, what is an abortion? An abortion is termination of pregnancy before viability. And what's viability? Viability means when a baby can survive. But medical abortion means termination of pregnancy. Okay. Okay, I'll take it back. So, as a doctor, abortion means termination of pregnancy before viability. If a woman has a miscarriage, we call that abortion. After viability, we call that death in the uterus. Okay, that's different. This medical part of it. So after 24 weeks, a baby dies in a woman's tummy, we call that fetal death or death in the woman's, a baby have died in the baby's womb, intrauterine fetal death. Before 24 weeks, it's an abortion. That's medical terminology. Of course, that goes to miscarriage, which is before viability, loss of baby is miscarriage. After viability is intrauterine fetal death. That's by the way. But now we'll talk about abortion in the layman's term, which is intentional termination of pregnancy. Intentional termination of pregnancy. In the layman's term, abortion can be from day 1 to 9 months. Youngest have aborted 8 months old baby. They call that abortion. It's not actually abortion. That is fetal death, killing of a baby. So that's without creating much confusion. So I've clarified abortion, medical term differently, and layman's term is intentional termination of pregnancy, irrespective of gestational age. That is abortion for layman. So, is it justifiable? It's a $1 million question. It's all based on individual faith and preferences. I will talk on my own part. What I believe in abortion, abortion is not justifiable, generally speaking. So every baby should be allowed to come to the world. That's my personal belief. However, if there is any medical reason that the woman's life is at danger, for instance, a woman with severe bleeding in the first trimester, the first 3 months of pregnancy, or even the first 20 weeks, that cannot be controlled until that baby comes out. In that situation, there's a medical reason to terminate pregnancy to save the human life. That's an ethical dilemma. Did the doctor choose to save this woman's life, or let the woman continue the pregnancy and loses 2 lives? That's a dilemma. Of course, Even the man up there knows that when 2 lives are at stake, we can save 1 life if we can. The key is to save both lives. So if a woman that is 20 weeks pregnant, and because if she's 25 weeks pregnant, that's not an issue. I'll deliver the baby go to NICU and survive. But at 24 weeks and the woman is bleeding heavily, and the woman might die from the pregnancy, and if she dies, the baby will die, then every sensible human being will choose to terminate pregnancy to save the woman's life. So in that circumstances, it's justifiable. I'm sure even the most respectable religious person will say, no, what? If you allow a woman die from bleeding because she's 15 weeks pregnant, you have killed that woman, you go to jail for murder. That's what it should be. So that's one aspect. Other aspect is abortion in case of rape. That's another very serious ethical issue. In this situation, I will not impose my personal belief on this. I will let the patient decide with her own spirit. What do you want to do? Are you going to have this baby and love this baby as your baby no matter what? Knowing that this baby was conceived without your consent, and you were assaulted to get pregnant, and would this baby remind you of the man who assaulted you in the process and got you pregnant? That is a personal choice and personal decision. So in my practice, the woman comes to me, I was raped, I found I'm pregnant, what do? I say, well, I cannot decide for you. Do you have a pastor? Do you have a trusted parent? Do you have a trusted family member? Go talk to them and decide. In this situation, again, I don't think the government should weigh in to make this woman have a baby that she doesn't want to have and then become traumatized the rest of her life. She can even end up killing that baby, think that she's killing the rapist that raped her. Again, it's a purely personal decision between the patient involved and her immediate family member and her spiritual leaders. That's one aspect. So the other part of abortion is a young lady going out, have a boyfriend, get pregnant, and then doesn't want the baby. That is a complete different kettle of fish. In that aspect, again, I believe the government should make it difficult for those women to have an abortion because they know better. Either you wait until you get married or use contraception, depending on what you believe. You should practice what's called safe sex. But again, in that situation, I say again, it's a very, very delicate issue. Let me talk about a woman comes to me with a 14-year-old daughter. I say, well, your girl is 14 or maybe 17. She's going to college next year. Maybe at home, she has been protected by you. She goes out and come back home. She has never had sex at all. She's going to college next year. I say, Mom, if this is my daughter, I will let her, I will talk to her, find out what she wants. If she ever decides to become sexually active before marriage, I'm not promoting that. But again, if that's what she wants to do, she should be on birth control. But if my daughter, I'll encourage her, you know what? Let's give her some long-term birth control that she doesn't have to rely on, just in case. Most moms will say, oh, not in my house, not in my house, and just dismiss the case until the lady goes on to college and come back with 9 months pregnant. Instead of bringing a college degree, she bring a baby home. So sex never happened in our homes until it happens to us. A good example is Sarah Palin, the Alaska governor. Is it Alaska? Yeah, Alaska governor who is anti-abortion, anti-everything, even anti-contraception. Her daughter got pregnant. Of course, I don't know what happened. She got pregnant. I thought, oh, wow. So sex actually happened in her house. The girl did nothing wrong. She had a baby and baby is surviving. But Sarah Palin was against sex, against birth control, against everything. We thought that her children would never have sex. It's like that in almost every household in our community. The sex not in our house. So every parent should take time and talk to the grown-up daughter and the grown-up son about sexual health. Wait until you get married. Don't do it. Don't do it. Preserve your virginity if you can. But if you want to do it, please go talk to a doctor. We know that at a 14-year-old, I can talk to any girl in the state of Washington, age 14 and above. A young man, a young girl can walk into me and say, I want birth control. I'll prescribe it for her without contacting I don't need parental consent for that. But any other health care, the teenager, and I would say, go bring your mom, go bring your dad. So far as it's sexual health, birth control, STD control, STD screening, pregnancy-related issue, I will treat her without getting consent of the parents. So therefore, it's up to parents to call their kids and talk about them about sexual health and safe sex. So again, personally, if you're a young girl involved in sexual activity, you know what you're doing, you know the consequences of it. If you get pregnant, deal with it. If your choice is abortion, it's a personal choice. I wouldn't advocate for government to step in. I also want to advocate for governments to start paying for people's abortion. You know, I mean, I won't pay tax, and the government take it to pay for somebody to have sex and have abortion 20 times in their life. So I think I'll rest here and see if there's any other question for now. Let me stop here.
Yeah, Dr. Ugorji, welcome to the program as always. I always like to have a question, and I have one now. Given what we know about abortion, in my days when I was growing up, it was rare and far between because parents never even discussed sex in the family. The mother could talk to the daughter in private, but not in the sitting room, not at the dining table. But today this has become as pervasive as give me a glass of water to drink. So, and then of course there is the medical side, we call it medical abortion or whatever. But then what of that young girl, that little girl, she's so scared out of herself because she thinks she's pregnant, and she goes behind the house and gets that that person who says he's a traditional doctor to give her some drugs or some grass or some herbs that he has squeezed and said, drink this. That maybe is very risky. Life is a risk. Even having the sex is a risk. So, Dr. Ugorji, what should you and I do to the children of this day who think that they own the world?
Yes, it boils down to education, okay? The reason why government in the first place try to legalize abortion is because so many young women have died in the process of getting what to call illegal, unsafe abortion by untrained medical personnel. So, if we don't provide the services, somebody will provide the services. Abortion is a lucrative business. If it's not legalized to get it covered legally by the government, it will perform whether you like it or not. A good example, I mean, I like to compare to a good example is when I was living in Dublin, there was no circumcision for African children of African descent. But circumcision was being provided in Dublin, in the island, by untrained healthcare providers every day, until somebody performed circumcision for a kid with hemophilia and the baby died in Dublin. There was a big noise about the media. The person who did circumcision was arrested and locked up, and then finally the government makes circumcision available for people of color. So now you can have it done. So it goes down to abortion. So if I am in charge of the government and the families, which is the immediate government is mom, parents, and children. That's a mini government. Well, in their responsibility to educate their children, first of all, do not have sex before marriage. If you must have sex, use protection, condom, to prevent STD and pregnancy. And if possible, get birth control if you don't want to use condom. And finally, if you are in trouble, come tell me as to what I can do. Hopefully the parents will be sensible to go find a place to do it. They can't find a place, then it becomes sad. So it becomes a problem that the government have to weigh in to save the life of these young girls who go and see untrained healthcare providers to perform illegal abortion. That's where the government comes place to save lives, save life. So again, that's my personal choice, but if government can protect life, they have to make laws to provide services that becomes a public health concern. So if this happens once in 1,000 women, it's not a public concern. But if every month 3 or 4 girls die in a community from abortion, it's a public health concern. The government should then weigh in to provide the services, even though parents will not accept it.
Ambassador Lisa.
Thank you, Nia Song. I'm first going to read the questions from Salifu, who is chiming in from Sierra Leone. Dr. Ugorji, welcome. Is artificial insemination, I think I'm not going to read it as it's written because that doesn't make sense. The question is artificial insemination a form of abortion? 2, what about test tube babies? Are they as a result of abortion?
Well, Ambassador Lisa, he is on, so maybe he can ask his question directly.
Okay.
Salifu, can you unmute yourself? And
yeah, good evening, everyone, from my end. I hope you're doing fine. I think I have a typo problem here. And the question is, I was asking if whether artificial insemination is a form of abortion. And the other question is test tube babies. You know, we have about test tube babies. I think he mentioned that for some women that are having medical condition wherein their womb cannot carry the baby for too long. So they'll decide to place those fetus in certain condition for them to grow up. So I want to know if these 2 cases are considered as a form of abortion.
Wow. That's a, thank you, Salifu. That's a loaded question. Dr.
You're welcome.
We're going to let you tackle that before I have anything to say.
So the first question, artificial insemination. Yes and no. If I speak from the scientist point of view, the answer is no. Because this AI is used to solve medical problem. Women who cannot get pregnant go through hell, especially in our mother continent, Africa. A couple get married, after 1 year, no baby, mother-in-law say what's happening, mom say what's happening. 2 years, no baby, 3 years, no baby, that woman will run from one native doctor to another. She will drink, poop, I'm exaggerating, whatever they ask her to drink, she will drink. To have a baby. So the woman wanting a baby will go to every extent to have a baby. So if a woman have a medical problem, then, and this is scientific technology to solve her problem, then AI is not a form of abortion. AI, you take the eggs, you take the sperm, you combine it together, you make 5, 10 babies from it, you pick what you think is healthy. We're playing God here. Pick 2 or 3 of them and put in the woman. She gets pregnant with triplet or twins. For me, you are providing a medical care. If you have a problem with your religion, then you shouldn't provide it. Let people who want to practice science and medicine do it. So it's not a form of abortion, period. A test tube baby, the same thing. If we are solving a medical problem, test tube baby, we read about it a lot of time. I think what is commonly practiced now is surrogate. You know, a woman cannot carry a baby. He call her sister or her mother or her friend on agree contractual relationship. They take the woman's egg and take the man's, the husband or the partner's sperm, fertilize it, put it in a woman. She carry for 9 months, have the baby handed over to the owner of the baby and walk away, either with a reward or just saying thank you or doing a service to humanity. So again, test tube baby is not an abortion, period. You're actually saving the baby, period.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ugorji. I think Salifu's maybe his understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. When we're talking about implanting that egg, no one implants an egg into a tube. Sometimes the egg is fertilized in the tube, and that it will bring death to a woman. So then that baby has to be removed. That is a medical condition that will require that is actually going to save that woman's life. because a tube is not made to carry that baby.
Perfect,
So so that artificial insemination is not planted in the woman's tube, it's implanted in her womb. Have you gotten some understanding there? Want to make sure that you're clear in that understanding.
So what you say is that for us to test tube baby, you take an egg, you take a sperm, put it in an environment in a small tube, fertilize it. It grows for maybe a week or two, and then you take that and plant in a womb. It has to be in a womb.
In the womb.
That womb is either the woman's womb, if she can do it, or a womb that will a surrogate mom that will carry the baby, grow the baby for this couple, and hand the baby over to the couple.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that clarification. Because it's amazing some of the things. Is your hand raised, Sally Fu? Or are you saying thank you?
I think his hand is up.
Go ahead.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much for making it clear. And I have another question. This is to know whether if abortion is something done intentionally or unintentionally, because there are certain cases, let's say some people are not aware of a specific food or drink they are taking in, maybe which can affect the baby. So I want to know if abortion is something intentional or unintentional, meaning the one we're discussing here now.
Okay, I think I clarified this before. Abortion is a medical term. As a doctor, what's an abortion? Abortion is termination of pregnancy before viability. That one can happen spontaneously, we term it miscarriage, or intentional, we call that induced or in Africa, call it criminal abortion.
Did you say criminal abortion or chemical?
Yes, criminal. Yeah,
Oh.
it's against the law, so it's called criminal abortion.
Okay.
Because in Africa, most African countries, both the abortionee and the abortionist are committing a crime. It's the law of the land, period.
Wow.
So
Okay.
even in America now, in some states in the South, that abortion is called criminal abortion. Self-induced is called criminal. It's criminal. You go to jail. So I'm not saying it's right.
Right.
So, but what I'm talking today about is so the miscarriage. When I was training, doctors are trained to call it miscarriage so that women don't feel guilty, even though miscarriage is an abortion. So spontaneous miscarriage is an abortion.
A spontaneous miscarriage is
Spontaneous
called,
abortion is called miscarriage.
oh, spontaneous abortion is a miscarriage.
Miscarriage.
I like that explanation. I don't think Sally Fu was on here at the very beginning when you described all the different types of abortion. So, and I never thought of a miscarriage as an abortion, but when you brought that clarification now, I was like, wow, okay, because your body is getting rid of the fetus. You're not actually doing something. You're not going to the doctor to have it removed, but your body is actually rejecting that. So it's a spontaneous
Abortion.
Wow, that's interesting. Never heard that term before. I'm just happy for the explanation. Let's talk about Roe versus Wade for a little bit. It was a decision that was made, a Supreme Court decision that was made back in 1973 that abortions would be illegal because so many women were going to these illegal doctors, getting these hangers that were not sanitized, ripping out their insides. Most of them were dying. So we were looking at either we have all these women that are going to be dead or we allow them to have abortions. Now, I agree with you, Dr. Ugorji, that the state, we should not be paying for it. Abortion should be allowed. If you are being raped, you should not be forced to carry your rapist baby for 9 months, nor should you be forced to take care of a baby for 18, 20, or the rest of your life. You know, if you wanted to have a baby, you would have had so. You would have done so. But for a rapist to rape you, inseminate, then get you pregnant, and then you're forced by the state or the government to make you carry a baby. Don't we have enough children that are being abused, that are living in foster care, that are living on the street already, not only in America, but all across the entire continent, all across the entire world? Don't we have enough babies that are not being loved, that were not wanted? And we're now going to the government is now going to force women to have children. I forgot what the guy's name who was running for governor here I think in Pennsylvania, who doesn't believe in abortion for any reason. And I say all the time that it's going to take something happening to their daughters to their sisters, for them to understand what the population is going through. We have a lot of women who are being raped, not only here, but on the continent, especially on the continent, who are not saying anything. They're just showing up, they're pregnant, they're being outcast by their families. And now the government is saying you have to carry this baby and take care of a baby that you don't love, didn't want. So there has to be a middle ground. There has to be a healthy middle ground. And we have to be able to find that middle ground. I looked up some scriptures earlier. There were some scriptures I wanted to look up, but there was one in particular that I wanted to toss out to Dr. Ugorji. Philippians 2, verse 12 through 13 says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Would this not be an appropriate scripture? And we're not a religious show, although we're all saved and we're religious people, but this is not a religious show. But would that not be one of those things that we ought to be letting people work out for their own self? That should be a decision that they should be making on their own.
I agree. Salvation is a personal journey. If you read the scripture to 10 different men of God, women of God, they give it 10 different interpretations. Also based on what is before that scripture and what comes after that scripture. So, salvation is a personal joy, personal journey. Men of God, pastors and men of God and women of God are there to guide us, to help us make that decision. So it boils down again is, when it comes to abortion, I say it on this show every time, if my daughter is only 10, if somebody happens to her when she's 12 and comes to me and somebody XYZ, oh God, she's not gonna have that baby. I'm sorry, because I won't stand it. But if she's 21, I would say, bring me my grandbaby. I want my grandbaby, because you know better.
Right.
So it's a personal choice. We just don't pray for it to come to us. Every parent wants their kids to go through puberty, go through college, or learn a trade, mature, and think about family later.
Yes.
So whatever we can do to make that work for you, fine. But if you are unfortunate, something happened to your beloved daughter and she's only 12 or 13, nobody should force you and your daughter to make a decision that has a long-term implication, that she has to stop school for 1 year. She may not ever go back to school. She may not raise her kids to have kids full capacity. And moreover, the worst case, if she was raped, because a 12-year-old has no ability for consent. If she was raped either by an adult or another 12-year-old who was badly trained by the parents to come and corrupt people's daughter, and then she raised that kid grow, oh, this guy did it to me, and use that kid to remember that guy, and her life become traumatized the rest of her life.
Yes.
Hold on. You decide, let people decide what they want to do.
Yes, that's how I feel. We have to work out our own situations. The government should not be regulating, what happens to my body and how I handle it. Let me have to deal with the consequences of those actions myself. Yes, abortion is wrong, but so is murder. So is alcoholism. So is beating your wife. All these things are sin. They're all sin, and no sin is greater than the other. But when the government starts trying to step in and regulate what happens to my personal body when I'm the one living it, you don't have a right to do that. We have Ruth Presley here. Welcome, my sister. Any thoughts, comments, or questions for Dr. Ugorji in the area of Roe versus Wade and the abortion issue, which is all the talk?
Yes, it is all the talk, and I wholeheartedly agree. We cannot legislate sin, and it is truly up to that person what they're going to do with their body, whether I agree with abortion, don't agree with abortion. At the end of the day, that person's going to do. When it comes to our young people with Their brains are not fully developed. They don't think they're going to get in trouble. They don't think they're going to get pregnant. They just think by some miracle they can do whatever they want and life will be fine. Even the best of parents with the best intentions, our children still make decisions. I know people who did their very best and their child ended up in jail 5 times and they kept bailing them out of jail. And sometimes little girls, without understanding, the conversation has to be, you are valuable. Your body is valuable. The message that is so prevalent, at least in the United States, is having sex is like, going to McDonald's and buying somebody a Happy Meal. There's it's no big deal. They don't understand the soul tie and all those things. So once again, we come back to education. And then for the older folk, it's their decision at the end of the day. And everybody has the right to be loved, no matter what. That's my way in.
Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you. Everybody has a right to be loved. But when you love a child, especially a girl child, and she takes it for granted and starts doing all what she wants to do, should you tolerate that? So generally, I believe that what we should be doing is talking more to our daughter, especially our daughters, telling them what will happen to them if they are promiscuous, if they go out roaming around with boys who are not serious themselves. So they should know their friends, the kind of people they make as friends, so that we will not even get to that situation of having to ask whether or not to have an abortion. Because if you rub oil on your hands, you'll soil your shirt. So if you don't rub oil on your shirt will not be, on your hands, your shirt will not be soiled. So avoid the oil as much as possible so that your shirt remains white and clean until the time comes. There is time for everything. Dr. Ugorji, I believe you are with me in that or on that.
Yeah, I agree. The first step is, let me put it this way, is at home. Start with decent dressing. I don't see why a 13-year-old girl will wear a miniskirt that ends on the butt line and be roaming the street. And then with a young boy who's both of them full of hormones and estrogen, roaming the street and end up taking a walk, and anything can happen. I believe that if a young lady comes to my house to visit my son, and they are wise enough to spend the whole time in the living room and go, nothing's going to happen. If they end up in the bedroom and close the door behind her, they're chatting. What are they talking about? Same thing. My daughter, if you go out to go out with somebody's friend, if there's a boy in the house, if your friend has a big brother, baby brother, make sure you stay in the living room. Don't go behind the doors. And dress appropriately, wear a long pant, wear a long short so that people don't misinterpret it as come and see me. I'm not saying the dressing, people can just wear they like against our body, but come and see me. I'm not saying people misinterpret your dressing that you are asking them to come and touch your body. And when they start doing that, and then trust me, a 14-year-old girl with estrogen everywhere, you touch her breast, and then her brain says, wow, this is good. That's it. She's gone.
Dr. Ugorji, please don't. Oh my God, that is a lot.
I'm sorry.
That is what the discussion is all about.
Listen, let me.
That's what it's all about. We're talking sex. Yeah, without sex, there will be no need for abortion. And
exactly.
Abortion comes because we're careless with the way we dress, especially, as Dr. Ugorji points out, people think that because it is so hot, they should go naked. That is not the way it was meant to be. I mean, even in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve discovered they were naked and they had to sew leaves into clothes. They wanted to cover up because the more you cover up, the more secure you are. But when you expose everything, and eyes are what they are. They attract and they make you go do things that you ought not to do. So please, education again, as Dr. Ugorji started saying, is what we should do in the home. Let
Yes.
the children know that today is not like yesterday. The time your mother grew up was very different. This time is completely different. People watch television, people go for television shows that are made intentionally to deceive young people. They target the less than 13-year-olds just because they want to deceive them into doing things that they ought not to do. So, talking about legalizing or not legalizing, I don't know what to believe anymore, because in this country, for example, I think the rate of promiscuity leads to the high rate of pregnancy, hence the need for abortion. But should it be so? Your answer is as good as mine.
We do have to be very careful. Let me ask a question of Dr. Ugorji, Nia-Sang, and Reverend Pam, because you do come from the continent. And Dr. Ugorji, I believe, has been home more recently than the both of you, but is this being taught at home? Are the parents, like, let me just say, I know in Uganda, the talk, as we say, is done by the singer. I would be a singer, which is usually the father's sister. It is her responsibility to have these talks with the girls, getting them prepared for marriage and things like that. I think that's a mother's job, but that's how it is on the East Coast. What's going on over here on the West Coast? Whose job is it to talk to these young girls?
Honestly speaking,
Dr. Ugorji, you want to go first?
Okay. I think it is the mom's, it is the parents' job. You put that way.
Okay.
When we were growing up, we were running around naked at 14. Trust me, when this rain.
I'm sorry, did you say 14? Did you say 14?
Yes.
1/4?
Maybe say within 10, maybe say 12, maybe 12, even 12, we run around naked at 12. When there's rain, we take off our clothes and play in the rain. And nothing is happening.
You're right.
We're innocent, completely innocent.
Okay.
We know nothing. But these days, with the TV, the WhatsApp,
Internet.
things, a 7-year-old girl knows about sex. So the area we start talking to our daughters, our children, the better for us.
Yes.
No, I used to tell my children that I'm gonna go and buy more kids from Walmart. They believe me until they were 7 years old.
You were gonna buy what? More what?
Buy babies from Walmart. Buy babies.
Oh.
The babies come from Walmart, you know. But you can tell those stories, but once they turn 7, 8, 9, you sit them down. When they show interest, sit them down and tell them the whole story raw. Don't mix words.
Exactly.
Make sure they are free to come and talk to you when it's a question. You know, I personally, I don't segregate mom or dad. I can ask my daughter anything.
Good.
Anything, anytime. You know, I can tell her, so let's go and buy underwear. She'll follow me, go and buy it. I said, pick it up, go and dress and come back. So you just make them open and talk to them, and then they will be able to tell you, you know, what's going on. And then also pay attention, you know. There was one point in time, you know, you go and drop a kid in school, you see somebody and be running away. You call her back and say, what's wrong with that guy? Oh, that's the vice principal. Oh, last time he touched me, I didn't like it. Then you say, oh, you tell me. So observe. Little clues like that, you drop your kid, she sees, oh, you start running fast because she saw somebody. Add another kid, that kid is probably making your kid uncomfortable by bullying her or a teacher. You call him back and say, come, what's going on with this guy? He will tell you. And then you approach the guy and say, hey, my daughter or my son doesn't want to see you because he or she said you make him or her uncomfortable on some sort of time. Please stay off my kids. It doesn't matter if the principal or the teacher. You must get involved. That way, they will respect her and won't bother her anymore. So I think it's both parents' job. Tell them everything raw, because you don't tell them, they'll learn it from this portable.
Exactly. Exactly.
Google.
Yeah. All right. Let me go next. You know, when we bring children into this world, we are responsible for them, to raise them. Dr. Ugorji, you admit this. On the continent, our parents don't talk to us about sex, abortion, all that. They don't. That's the truth. Most parents don't. So, and so most of our young people don't, you know, they're ignorant. Now, there's WhatsApp. Most people on Africa have WhatsApp, and they are learning these things. I would say as soon as they start speaking, whether it's 2 years old, start teaching them about the body parts.
Yes.
And tell them which parts nobody should touch. I'll say this again. One of my nieces, one went on a family cruise in 2018. She came into my cabin where one of my nephews was, and my nephew had just come back from swimming, so he didn't have he took off his top. And she's like, "You're not supposed to be taking off your top in my presence." My nephew was taken aback. "So what are you talking about? I'm not naked. I just took off my top." He said, "It doesn't matter. I'm not supposed to see your top." And that a light bulb went off in my nephew's thing. This is his first cousin telling him that, but that's because somebody had a conversation with her. So when they're from age 2, we need to tell them, because these pedophiles, they abuse babies, even infants. Mm-hmm. Tell them nobody's supposed to touch you on this part. Nobody's supposed to touch you on this part of your body. Nobody's supposed to touch you. And if they do, you need to come tell me. Let them know. Because especially on the continent, a lot of children are scared, especially if the perpetrator is a person in authority in the community. Go tell somebody. It doesn't matter if the person is in church or outside church. Tell your parents. Unfortunately, sometimes the parents may not believe the child, you know, but I would say the responsibility is the responsibility of the parents that brought the children into this world. That's what I would say about that. Yeah, so.
Indeed, we have to absolutely begin from the home to educate our children. And of course, as Reverend Pam says, tell the girl child, please, your body is precious. It is the house of God. Don't let somebody mess with it. And don't expose it when you ought not to. You expose it only when you are taking a shower, of course, that is between some blinds or behind a closed door. So don't expose your body unnecessarily. And talking about abortion, should young girls who ignorantly maybe get pregnant go looking for maybe tablets here and there, or go to that person behind the house who has squeezed some herbs and give her to drink and so on? Should it be that easy for young girls who get pregnant to get access to abortion?
Who you direct that to, Dr. Ugorji?
Generally.
Okay, before you go there, let me just add, we should be talking not only to our daughters, but we must educate our sons as well. I said, yes. We cannot empower the woman and the girl child, and our boys and our men are still ignorant in their thinking. So we must educate our boys what parts of their body should not be touched by anybody as well, because the boys are being equally abused, or especially on the continent, and in America, they're being equally abused as the girl, but the boys are not talking. So they're being even more traumatized, because most of the time, us girls, we are socialized to talk and share with her. We got girlfriends. Ruthie's my sister. I can go talk to her about anything. I don't have any inhibitions of talking to her. But when I'm on the continent and I'm having girlfriend talk, my sisters are like, "Oh, you really said that?" I'm like, "Oh, I have to remember they're not socialized to have these kind of girlfriend talks where we just open and talk about whatever." So we must begin to start young, educating the girls and the boys. The boy's body is just as precious. God has only given us our virginity as our gift to give to our mate. So we must be able to share and talk to our girls as well as our boys. Now, with that being said, back to your question. No, they should not be able to go out back door. They should not be looking for any pills or herbs or grass that's been squeezed and drank. So Dr. Ugorji, in reference to Nia Sung's question, does that stuff really work?
I think Dr. Ugorji is muted.
Oh, you're muted. I know we have here the morning after pill, I believe, but does the morning after pill, does going out into the bushes and getting some herbs and making it something, does that stuff really work?
Right. Before I comment on that, okay, I would say regarding home education too, when your kids turn 4 or 5 and they're taking shower in the house, I run around naked, You have more money. Get them dressed up. See? Go dress up. Even if it's your brother or sister, go dress up. Make sure they wear their pants as soon as they take a shower. Otherwise, you see kids run around with, and even some of them, if they're so innocent, they're up to 10, run around naked in the house taking a shower. That's not good. So going to your question, I don't think they work. Here's the problem with Africa those days when we grew up. We believe that shot, hot drink, alcohol, whiskey works.
Oh.
Believe that Andrew liver salt, which is it's like it's a high salt concentration used for it's like Andrew liver salt is like it's a powder you put in the water, it forms gas you drink for heartburn. Girls have says they drink it and they think that works or work.
What?
Andrew liver salt. Andrew liver salt.
No, I know, but I'm saying that the kind of things that people drink, it's I don't know.
Yeah,
So wait a minute, let me just understand. You said you take something that's like an antacid.
Yeah, this is the thing that we believe we thought growing up that
Okay.
they all prevent pregnancy. Andrew liver salt is one of them. Alcohol is another one.
Wow.
Alcohol, yes. Another was if I remember very well, there are different concoctions I don't know. You go to the bush and take leaves and squeeze them and boil them and drink.
Oh my God.
So basically, none of these things works, I'm honest with you. However, the difference between Africa and here is that as a teenager in Africa growing up, you end up having sex 1 or 2 in a month. But I mean, people are always brought back home. They only sneak out when the opportunity come and go and come back. So the chance of them getting pregnant becomes small, unlike here whereby sex is like I mean, this may have changed now. Here, you say 30-year-old more that I want a boyfriend. You say no, you say I need a boyfriend. You get a boyfriend, you having sex, and you spend all the time with the boyfriend.
Wow.
Like in our continent when we're growing up, you are kept busy with different type of things at home. You only sneak out when you go to freshwater, you meet your boyfriend and run away.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they don't really people do those things, but it's not on a daily basis. And we know that conception happens generally within a period of 4 or 5 days in a month. So I believe that people get away with those things because they do those things when they are not fertile.
Mm.
But if they begin to move in and live with their boyfriend or spend all the time with their boyfriend and 24/7, there'll be more pregnancy than we are having now. So those things don't work, but people believe in them. And trust me, girls do that all the time, but they end up, I don't know. I can only talk to say people don't tell you what happens, you know. But I know young girls come and tell me, oh, I'm pregnant. I said, what happened? So and so happened. Well, go talk to a doctor. So they don't work, period. They don't work.
So I think I don't want to get into next week's conversation. You said there's only 4 or 5 days where you can actually get pregnant, which is that time when fertilization can happen. Would it be safe that we should be teaching our daughters and our son, well, basically our daughters, because it happens to us, when they're ovulating? Should we be teaching them with their ovulation, that whole menstrual cycle thing that's going on? Should we be teaching and educating them in that area?
We should, but just like birth control, when you raise the issue of birth control to a young girl or the ovulation cycle, it's assumed that you're giving them license to go have sex. It's not.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, but you should, if your daughter start talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, first thing to do is tell her, no. But if you want to do something, please let me know. And you have to offer and say, hey, my daughter, if you go meet your boyfriend in a locked room, something might happen. So avoid that circumstances. You need to really know and decide where you want to do this and plan it. Sex cannot just occur. It should be planned. And for me, I think you should wait until you're old enough. But if you want to do early, then let me know. We'll talk about it. And if I have my way, I'll go give you birth control, things like that.
Let me jump in real quick. We need to teaching them about ovulation cycle, menstrual cycle. It does not protect sexually transmitted diseases.
No, it does not.
It does not. And like Dr. Ugorji is saying, I don't know what a 13-year-old or a 16 or 17-year-old or 18-year-old even knows about sex. It needs to be a decision that they make, and it needs to be done out of love, not just because people want to explore their bodies. So we really need to be careful. Dr. Ugorji is saying, I don't even know if nowadays in Africa, people are still having those conversations with their children, but I see a Bernard Kengbiza on. If he can unmute himself and weigh in real quick before we go to the top of the hour. Bernard, you're welcome.
Bernard, if you can unmute yourself and join the conversation, have your say.
On abortion.
I think it's just listening in. I know it's calling from North Carolina. So.
Okay,
okay.
Hear from Sister Ruth. Ruthie, I don't know if you spoke, but we have 5 minutes to the anthem.
All righty. This conversation has been very enlightening. I still do believe that education is the best way, and teaching your children from a very early start that it's your body. What is your standards? That's one of the things I'm really talking about and honing in with my girls and the guys. What are your standards? What do you have your no game ready? So when something comes your way, you're not caught off guard. You know, this is my standard and I'm not going to lower it. And I let them know that if someone has you lowering your standard, they're not the one.
They're not.
The way. I also teach them, do not stay on the phone too long because the conversation switches the longer you're on the phone. We all know that. It's like, you start up here, next thing you know, you're down here somewhere.
Especially at bedtime. Especially at bedtime.
Especially at bedtime, yes.
Especially at bedtime.
Having that pillow talk that you really don't even know what the heck you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what it is. But letting our children know that they are queens and kings.
Yes.
You are royalty. Do not lower your standard. And what you see in the world and on TV is not love.
It's not love, ain't real.
Yes,
it's make believe.
That being said, I've just seen a first priority group come in. A couple.
Let me
can
acknowledge
rename themselves, please, so we know who we're talking to.
I'll rename her.
Okay.
Her name is.
That being said, and while you do that, I just wanted to say that, Dr. Ugorji, I would like for us, of course, to talk about the consequences of abortion. What are the end results? What should we expect if we take to abortion? So when we come back from the break, I think we should tackle the consequences of abortion. And at that time, we will have our, those who are coming in now to have their say.
Exactly. Yeah, we have 2 minutes to the top of the hour. I want to just take a minute and we have 2 guests here, Sister Kim. I call her Firebrand Kim, and I see Sister Gela Ferry. These are part of the Firebrand Atlanta crew for Africa's Brain Bank. God has raised them up. They are lighting up Atlanta, preaching the Africa's Brain Bank gospel. And today's their first time on the show. And I'm sure they're going to weigh in. Sister Kimberly, just take a minute because we are less than 2 minutes to the top of the hour where we make some announcements. And just introduce yourself, and Sister Gela will introduce herself too real quick.
Well, hello. Well, first off, I must say that it is an absolute honor and pleasure to be here on the line with you. My name is Kimberly McMorris, and I am the COO of the First Priority Insurance Agency and also the Black Wall Street Insurance Agency. I have a master's degree in organizational leadership, but the most important thing is that I am absolutely a child of God. And it has just been an honor and a pleasure to have been added to Africa's Brain Bank because Reverend Pam, we have actually been talking about me assisting with some level of promotions for the Africa's Brain Bank. And it's just simply an honor and a pleasure to serve. And this is the last thing that I'm going to say. Like, whenever I look at the title, right, I actually wasn't going to show my face initially. But then whenever I saw abortion, and as we talk about the topic of abortion, I actually had an abortion whenever I was 16 years old. And at one point it was one of my deepest shames. But now as I look at myself as an adult and I think about how my life has bloomed and blossomed, you know, and in all things, there's a silver lining and then there's a blessing. It's just all in a matter of perspective, but it doesn't make a difference what side of fence you are on. A woman's choice is exactly that. It's a woman's choice. Thank you. Right. I do apologize. I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Reverend Pam.
Don't go away, please, because we would like to have you in the second part of the discussion. After the anthem, please, we would like to have Ms. Kimberly come in to tell us a little more about the after effects of abortion. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, Sister Gela, just wait. After the announcement, you introduce yourself briefly, and I didn't know that. And Sister Kim, thank you, because what you are sharing may help a lot of our young girls. You know, so we're having Dr. Ugorji, who is our Chief Medical Advisor at Africaonline, and he's also part of Africa's Brain Bank, part of the Medical School for Africa's Brain Bank. He's on this program almost every Sunday. He weighs in on every topic. So we just do a medical topic at the last Sunday of the month. So Sister Gela, we'll give you the mic after the anthem. So this is our Africaonline anthem. We do have an Africa's Brain Bank anthem, and we own full rights to this song. So I'm going to play anthem and then we'll continue the show.
Oh, Africa. Oh, no. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans. Africans for Africa, Africans, Africans for Africa, Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans have many bright ideas. If only you let us share. If you really want to know my history, please come, sit down, listen to my story. God gave us a wisdom. He guides our footsteps, makes us shine and transform. Hey, our people with so many cultures, yet indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us all unite behind Africa Online Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Hey, Africans, Africans. Africa, Africans, Africans for Africa, Africans, Africans for Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does, to identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. As people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Let us solve all the problems plaguing our continent. Stand up, Africa. Let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africaonline Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. education for everyone. If we believe. Prosperity for Africans. If we believe. Medical facilitation for Africans. If we believe. Stand up, Africa, yes, for Africa. Africaonline Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Africa is a cradle of civilization, the motherland. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Jump on the Africaonline miracle jet. Don't be left behind. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Together we shall succeed. Together we win. Stand up, Africans. Let's see Africa. We are writing our own story. The truth that we shall tell to the world. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. No more lies. Africans own Africa.
No more lies. Africans own Africa. That's our anthem, and we own full rights to that song. And you know, before I hand over to Ambassador Lisa, just a couple of things. Ambassador Lisa, Brother Jallo, our rep in Africa's Brain Bank rep in Sierra Leone, was going to join this broadcast, but his uncle just passed away just like 5 minutes before we went live. So our hearts go out to Engineer Jallo Mohammed. He also contributed toward the borehole in 2020. They have the program already ready. I shared it on the Africaonline team for the ribbon cutting in Sierra Leone. The government will be there. You know, it'll be a whole ceremony to officially launch the borehole and the solar power, which is electrifying, providing electricity for the maternity. They've been using this thing for about almost 5 months, now 6, but we're doing an official ribbon cutting, so we can use that for the next fundraiser for Kenya. So I just wanted to give you that breaking news. Just happened. She would have been on here. Our administrator of the continent too had been going back and forth with him because of the state of the building. They are not able to put all the names on the wall because that building may need to be demolished. So that will not happen. Yeah. The building may need to be remodeled rather, or refurbished or something, you know. So they were saying that it doesn't make sense to do that. So I just wanted to give that quick update. But next week, we are going to do a sequel to this show called Sexual Education. That is something that doesn't happen a lot on the continent. And I'm not sure how prominent it is in our African-American community here. How many parents take time to teach their children sexual education? You know, so that's what we're going to be talking about next week. So I'm going to hand over to Ambassador Lisa, right, before Nia Song. So I'll be muted, and then when Ambassador Lisa and Nia Song finish, let's get Sister Gela to briefly introduce herself. I know Nia Song had asked a question to Dr. Ugorji, the effects of abortion. So Dr. Ugorji will go after Sister Gela, introduce herself briefly, then we'll continue. Over to you, Madam Ambassador. I'm going to mute myself a second.
Thank you, Reverend Perrin. I'm going to make the announcement short because I want to hear the rest of this conversation. So, but Africaonline has an ongoing fundraiser, and we need your help. As you heard Reverend Pam talk about the borehole in Sierra Leone, you may not have understood what was going on, but it is our desire to see a borehole put on every country in at least one medical facility in every country on the continent of Africa. Operation Borehole 55, and we need your help to do that. So we need you to make a donation of no matter how much dollar, rand, naira, pound, shilling, all of it will go towards the borehole project. There's no administrative fees that come out of any of the money that is raised. All of it goes towards the borehole project. Our first borehole has been sunk. It is, as Reverend Pam said, it is in operation for the last 5 months, and it is benefiting over 35,000 people on the continent of Sierra Leone. Our next one is going up in Kenya, and we need your help. So consider making a donation. Visit our website at www.africaonlinetv.org. That's africaonlinetv.org. And you will find an event, I think it's an event link or a donation link there. And feel free to make a donation every week, every month, every quarter, yearly, however, no matter how large or how small, we would appreciate it all. And on another note, our sister organization, Africa's Brain Bank's 3rd annual summit and gala is fast approaching. It is October 8th and 9th, and we want to see you in the beautiful city of ATL, hot Atlanta. So you can also get information about that on the AfricaOnlineTV.org's website as well. Ticket price, the tickets are open. The link is open for you to purchase your ticket, for you to make your reservations for the hotel rooms. Tickets are going fast, and so are the hotel rooms. We don't want you to have to be way out somewhere at a hotel, and then you got to take an Uber to be there among the festivities. We want you to be right there where the center of everything is happening. So don't delay. Get your tickets for the summit and the gala. Get your gowns ready and bring your checkbooks as well. Thank you so much, Nia-san. You're muted, Nia-san.
The system keeps going up and knocking me out. I'm sorry, merci, madame. C'est pour vous dire que Africa Online Media Corporation est en train de creuser des puits d'eau potable dans les centres de santé développés dans les divers pays africains. Il y en a 55, dont on a dénommé ça Borehole 55, Operation Borehole 55, donc Opération Borehole 55 dans les 55 pays africains pour donner de l'eau potable à des centres de santé développés. En tout cas, nous souhaitons que vous nous aidons en nous donnant un peu de sous pour qu'on continue à creuser ces points d'eau. On a déjà fini avec le Sierra Leone, ça sera inauguré bientôt, c'est fonctionnel, c'est opérationnel. L'électricien du coin a même mis de l'électricité parce que nous avons aussi joint le solar system dans le système et ça fonctionne très bien. Le prochain sera au Kenya, mais pour le moment, nous vous demandons de nous aider en nous donnant un peu de sous pour qu'on continue le projet. Cela dit, une date à retenir, le 8 et le 9 octobre prochain, Africa's Brain Bank organise une balle à Atlanta, de Marriott à l'aéroport d'Atlanta, pour vous informer sur les problèmes que nous avons en Afrique. Africa's Brain Bank veut dire le cerveau de l'Afrique. Donc, c'est à vous de nous joindre à Atlanta le 8 et le 9 October prochain. Merci beaucoup. And if you have to contribute to us, africaonline.tv, www.africaonline.org. Sorry, africaonlinetv.org, and you'll be able to make your contribution. The link is on the website. And thank you very much. Madam Ambassador, can we continue with the conversation? I think Reverend Pam wanted us to call on someone to introduce herself.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Gayla Ferry, and I am the CEO of Iron Currency Solutions and COO of Sankofa Global Trading. And we selected the name Iron Currency because iron was one of the first things that was traded on the continent of Africa. And we selected the name Sankofa Global Trading because we're looking back at our history, at our ancestry, and we're bringing those good things forward to bring our people into trading. As Reverend Pam has indicated, we've been working towards the mission of the continent, working with companies on the US soil as well as in Africa to form strategic business solutions. I lived in Houston, Texas for over 20 years before moving to the Atlanta area. And we have successfully been able to have a strategic relationship between a Texas airline company, private jet service out of the Woodlands, Texas, and a Ghanaian logistics company, McDan Logistics out of Ghana. That's just one of the kinds of relationships that we've been able to forge as we're looking at in the process now of forging relationship with the African-American chocolatier and Ghanaian cocoa processing factory. That's just the beginning of what we're doing, trying to bridge the gap between America and our brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa. Thank you for this time.
Yes, Sister Kimberly, thank you very much. Thank you for the previous speaker. I was already focused on Sister Kimberly. I saw her hand. I saw the love sign. We appreciate your being here. As I said, don't go away because we need you to tell us as we go into the second part of our discussion, what are some of the consequences of abortion?
Well, yes, well, I have raised
Dr.
my
Ugorji, hold on,
hand.
let her answer then, Dr. Ugorji.
Oh,
Oh.
I was just saying I raised my hand because the young lady who was speaking, the prophetess, what she was saying about the boreholes, I was just simply going to say that I would love to connect with her and have a meeting with her and Reverend Pam. Because I just got asked. It has not been formalized yet, but it's getting ready to be formalized for me to be added to the advisory board of directors of Black Health Matters. And whenever I think about Black Health Matters, it's not just Black Health Matters here in the United States, but Black Health Matters in Africa as well. And so if I could offer my, assistance as far as with helping to promote what it is that she was just speaking of, I would just simply gonna let her know that I would love for she and I to have a conversation.
Okay.
Thank you. We will.
Any answer to the consequences of abortion to continue this conversation?
Dr. Ugorji?
Okay, Dr. Ugorji, on mute, and the consequences of abortion.
Well, I'm going to break it down into different parts. First one is psychology.
Mm.
We are very, very religious people in Africa, generally. And most people commit abortion know that is something wrong. And that they believe that they have done something wrong, and it tends to follow them long time ago. It follow them throughout their life, believing that they feel guilty for the action. Especially if, for some reason, whether related or not related, they find it difficult to have baby in future. They believe that this is a punishment from God. They start crying, they start weeping, they start tormenting themselves, start going from pastor to seek prayer and remorse. So the psychological effect of abortion is real. So that's one. Then medically, of course, it all depends. Abortion doesn't come without risks. In the process of abortion, you can do a couple of things. You can get infection, especially if it's done in unsafe and by untrained hand. You can develop infection. You can perforate the uterus. You can perforate the bladder. You can perforate the bowel. With infection, the patient can become really, really sick and end up losing their life. Sometimes they end up in the hospital with IV antibiotic and finally die. But that is the main reason why abortion becomes legalized in most countries, to prevent people dying from sepsis or infection from abortion. Of course, if there's trauma to the bladder or to the uterus or to the bowel, you could develop what you call a fistula, a hole between the vagina and the bladder, or a hole between the vagina and the rectum. You develop what you call chronic leakage of either poop or urine from your uterus. That's a possible complication of it. Of course, if you do, people do habitual abortion, that they do abortion almost every 1 or 2 times a month, 3 or 4 times a year. Every couple of months, they go have an abortion. But you keep scraping the uterus over and over and over and over. If you meet a poorly untrained doctor, he's going to scrape the lining of your womb I developed what we call we call it a Hasherman syndrome, whereby the inner line of a womb is all scraped out that you no longer have a period. In that way, you can never have baby again from that. Of course, what I say, of course, I think those are main
Okay.
psychological maintain, then followed by
Yes, go ahead.
Finally, if you don't have baby in future, you regret ever doing that to yourself.
Okay, Ambassador Lisa.
Dr. Go, did you say that you can develop a fistula?
Yes, you can make a hole, you know, train people. So abortion should be done by trained people, of course.
Yes,
But
yes.
If you puncture the uterus and go towards the bowel, that's a fistula.
Okay.
Puncture the uterus, go towards the bladder, that's a fistula.
Okay, I just wanted to make, because I thought that was a term, I wasn't sure what you said, so I was trying to look it up, and I'm like, is we talking about the same thing here? Okay, so you did say it develops a hole. Okay.
A fistula is a hole. So a fistula is a hole between two cavities. It's more commonly caused by childbirth, by teenage girls who are not mature. That's why it's more common in northern Nigeria, where girls is as young as 12 years, 30 years have babies. When the baby start coming down to the uterus, it causes hole between the vagina and the uterus or bladder. But it can be caused by abortion too, if not properly done by safe
Wow.
people. Yeah.
Got it.
But the biggest one is infection. Infection. In fact, people dying from sepsis from abortion is a public health crisis in most countries that abortion is criminalized. So with legal abortion, the amount of people dying from infection from abortion becomes almost non-existent. So now going forward, trust me, in most of the states in the South, where abortion is no longer available, you're gonna see young girls ending up in the emergency room with complicated abortion from sepsis and even dying from it, because they will do it. They'll find somebody to do it. They won't find a doctor. They'll find an untrained person to do it. Even in this country, they'll find somebody. Trust me.
Mm. Dr. Ugorji, we know that you are an OB/GYN specialist.
And family medicine.
Excuse me?
He's also family medicine, right, Dr. Ugorji?
Yes.
As family medicine. And we know that you practice not only in the States, but you practice on the continent as well. Have you had an opportunity, or you had to perform an abortion, whether, I don't want to say legal or illegal.
Don't set him up.
Okay, I won't ask the question then.
Ask the question. Ask Kimberly's answer up. Ask the question. Dr. Ugorji practices in 3 continents. So go ahead and ask the question.
No, I won't set him up. I won't ask that question. I'll ask that question later. It'll be a talk between he and I.
Okay, Sister Kim have her hand up.
I can answer a question. Let me put this way, okay? I have not, okay, performed an abortion before. I will say that.
Okay.
I've not. I don't believe in it, and I have directed people who want to do it to where they can get it done. I say, I can't do it. Go to this hospital for you.
Okay.
God bless you, my brother.
Amen. Okay. Kim, you had your hand up?
Yes. This is of course, a very, very complicated subject, right? But I just simply feel like it is a woman's individual choice, and that it is a young girl's individual choice. And as the doctor stated, I'm so glad that he spoke before I spoke, because my conversation may have been a bit skewed, because I would have addressed it from a personal matter instead of from a global perspective. So I'm glad that I was obedient and let the doctor speak first. But for right now, here in the United States, young girls, they are to where they are going to do it. They're going to make a choice. They're going to do it. And so we, especially in our Black community, we need to find a way or if it is a necessary procedure, you know, I mean, that we provide pathways forward for those who make that choice, who make that decision. And so, but now speaking from my own, you know, perspective, I've been conflicted about this over the years. At you know, whenever I was younger, I was definitely grateful that I did it because I'd have been a terrible mom then. Because and and I'm not ashamed to share this because, you know, like right now I'm actually doing my autobiography at the moment, so it's going to come out anyway. But I had to make a decision on if I was going to, you know, have a child from the uncle that I was being molested by or by the boyfriend that I was dating. So I made a decision and I don't regret making that decision. Um, but there have been moments when I have regretted making that decision because I don't have any children right now to this day. But I don't regret making that decision because it could have possibly derailed, you know, my life. Think about who I am now and who God meant for me to be. I don't know if I didn't have been amazing, but whenever I go back home and I look at the circumstances and the surroundings of where I was at, like I may have been that one to beat the odds, but that was unlikely. So I don't regret making that decision. And but now, whenever I think about with the young men and then the young adults that I have in my life right now, and that they call me a God mom and they look at me from a mother perspective, I'm grateful that I made that decision then because God has blessed me with gifts for me to be a mother to many now. Like I have two amazing stepsons, like I have a grandson that is my absolute heartbeat. Like God knew what he was doing when he skipped me right over motherhood and made me a grandma because
Uh-oh.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. I think you are frozen. Yeah, okay, you were frozen a minute ago. Are you okay now? Yes.
he could have
No,
given me those two stepsons and that grandson. So it really is all a matter of perspective. And I have been in therapy 4 times to get to my happy place. So I don't want anyone to think that this is just roses and sunshine, fall space, but it is definitely a person. And I don't regret making my decision, but I do sometimes think like, you know, especially whenever I see a young man that's 33, 34 years old, like, you know, what would my child be like? But I don't regret the decision, but sometimes I have regretful moments. So I don't know if that's the answer that you wanted, but that's just my perspective on it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your perspective. Thank you very much for your courage. Thank you for sharing. It will help some other woman somewhere, some other girl somewhere to make a decision that she will not regret. Dr. Ugorji, what are the concepts? Oh, you spoke already. I was going to go to Sister Ruth. What is your take on those consequences? A round of the table after. Sister Ruth?
We didn't get whatever you said.
No, I just said, what is her take on the effects of abortion before we take the table? But if she wants to wrap that up with her last word, that'll be okay.
I'll do whatever you say, Brother Ugorji.
Okay.
You the boss of this one. My take is that I agree with Kimberly. You may have regretful moments, but you won't regret the decision depending on the circumstances in which you got pregnant, and where you are in life. You know, as a 14-year-old or 15-year-old, even a 16-year-old, or someone who's just started their college life and having that interruption. And I know it is a life, but knowing that at this moment, the best thing for me and this child is I let them go. Having said that, where I stand on abortion doesn't really matter because it's a personal, absolute personal choice. I think that we have to give people the love and the space to make those decisions, because no matter what I was feeling or what my true belief was, I have escorted women who've made that decision through the process to help them make it through, because my position was I have to love them no matter what their choice is. And I think that's a very important thing, to love that person no matter what the choice is, rather than to degrade them or make them feel bad for their choice. Love them through it.
Thank you very much. Gala, are you still with us? Are you going to give your last word on abortion? If not, we'll go over to Kim. Your last word. Okay,
No.
Gala is here, yes.
Yeah.
What have you to say as a last word on this?
You're looking for me to say something?
Yes.
Kayla?
Yeah, your last word on the discussion on the
Well,
topic
I mean,
abortion.
I personally have, did not have an abortion, and at 57 years old, I have no children. So for me, yes, I was very much a career person, and I don't think that I could have navigated that being having children. I will say that my mother became pregnant with me while she was in college. So she opted not to have an abortion, and she opted to have me. So, her life was altered as a result of that. So I have to say that it is a choice, and everyone has to make the choice that's best for them. My mother chose to have her child, and it was, a college sweetheart, but her life took a different path as a result, and she accepted that. And I believe that she feels her life has been very fulfilled, with the choices that she made.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Kim, do you still have a last word to say? If not, we can just skip you, but if you have a last word, we welcome it.
She's muted.
Kim, you're muted.
Sister Kim, unmute yourself. Okay.
Oh, yes. Well, well, first off, you
Is she frozen?
Yes, she keeps
especially
freezing.
to be, on this Zoom with you. And then just, thank you, Reverend Pam, for your grace and definitely
You're welcome.
having board, where I've been on both sides. I had a decision, and then I had to make a decision a little later, and I can't say that she's a very happy ending at the end. I don't, but again, it definitely a person's individual choice. And whenever I think about right now with the
She's having a connectivity.
Yeah, she's
issue.
having continuity problems. So we'll turn over.
Yeah, Sister
to-
Kim, we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
We are not
Thank
hearing you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ambassador
Yes.
Lisa, your last word. Oh, was
Yes.
that the end? Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Ugorji, for coming in and enlightening us on different types of abortion. I think that was very key, the different types of abortion. And again, my personal opinion is not very important here, whether you are for or against. It is a woman's choice, especially in the matters of abuse and rape. No one should be forced to raise a child that they're not ready for, that did not prepare for. And it is our responsibility as adults, spiritual parents, natural parents, aunties, to educate our daughters and our sons, begin to show them and tell them how important and valuable they are as kings and queens, so they can make better decisions. When we give them the education that they need, when we give them the tools that they need to navigate life, they can make right choices, right decisions, and we will not be having a discussion on whether abortion should be legal or not. That is my last word on the subject.
Okay, Dr. Ugorji, your last word, please.
Did we hear from Sister Ruth?
Yes.
Yes, she was.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Well, all I would say is when a woman finds herself with unwanted pregnancy, all we need to do is to give her the love, support her. I always tell my patients, go home, call somebody you trust. Is it mom? Is it father? Is it sister? Is it auntie? Is it friend? Is it a pastor? Talk it over with them and decide what you want to do. I'm here for you. You want to continue the pregnancy, I will gladly take care of the pregnancy and deliver this baby. Choose the other route. That's ultimately a decision, but make sure you discuss it so that you know is that what you're going to. Keep it that way. And I tell people, especially when somebody cannot have a baby, I say, it doesn't matter whether you had an abortion before. It doesn't matter whether you have an STD before. Yes, these things can cause difficulty in getting pregnant, but it's not always. So have no regrets. So people always try to regret their past. I have my past, I regret. Everybody has something to regret in their past, but that is what we call. That's why we say hindsight is always 20/20. I cannot judge somebody by their hindsight. So what you do at that time, at that point in time, is the right decision at that time, and live with it and move forward. And finally, I will say, abortion is a personal choice. People should be allowed to make that decision. Government should not pay for it, unless when medically indicated. And but they should provide a way, they provide a means or the opportunity for people to have the abortion done if they need. In that way, they can prevent a lot of the unwanted consequences of abortion, especially death of a young woman because of unsafe abortion. Abortion will happen, whether you ban it or not. It has been happening in 200 years ago. It will happen in the next 50 years. It's a part of life. So make it safe for those who want to do it, and provide education to prevent it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ugorji. Reverend Pam, your last word.
Yeah, I really want to take a moment to appreciate our Chief Medical Advisor, Dr. Ugorji. You are so faithful, so loyal to this organization and our sister organization. You are on this show every week. Even sometimes when you are in the hospital, you still zoom in. When you are in Africa, you zoom in. We don't appreciate you enough, but no, we don't take you for granted. I want you to know that. The Bible says a faithful man who can find. You don't even know, and you may never know how many lives have been transformed because of you sharing your knowledge, not just your medical knowledge, but your knowledge on every topic that we discuss on this show. So I just want to take a moment to really appreciate you, Dr. Ugorji. You know, you are such a blessing to our people, and God will continue to expand your horizon and your course and bless you, and no evil shall come near you or your family. Thank you so much. As far as abortion goes, I would tell people prevention is better than cure. If you do the act, you better raise the child. That's what I'm gonna say. If you don't want to get pregnant, don't do things that make people pregnant. I know that it's not just pregnancy that's an issue. There's sexually transmitted diseases. Coronavirus came, everybody's talking about pandemic, corona. What about HIV? What about gonorrhea? What about syphilis? Those diseases are still rampant, you know? So I just, you know, that's what I'm gonna end with. You know, let's take care of ourselves and take care of each other. Yeah, so.
Before Nia Sung speaks, Reverend Payne, what was that you said? Protection is better than what?
Prevention.
Prevention.
It's
Prevention is better
than cure.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed. Prevention is better than cure. If you touch the oil, you'll stain your shirt. If you don't touch the oil, you'll not stain your shirt. Have a good week, and we'll see you next Sunday with sex education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nia Sung. For Sister Kim and Sister Gela, we are here every Sunday from 4 p.m. to 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. We've been doing this for more than 6.5 years. You're welcome to Zoom in different topics. So we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.